Aloha and welcome to episode 2 of the Freedom Podcast. Today we have on Don Moriarty from the Donor Shack. What's up, Don?
What's up, Joe? Thanks for having me.
And we got our trusty sidekick here, Mr. Coconut, and we're kicking it live from our studio here in Oahu, Hawaii. And today we're going to go over a little bit of national and local news, and then we're going to break into learning a little bit about the Donor Shack and the stand that they've taken for freedom. So, Don, I don't know, have you heard what's been going on with Moderna recently?
We did go, I do remember this one. Iceland halted their jabs over heart inflammation fears.
Yeah, so basically all of Iceland, they're not giving Moderna shots anymore. We have yet to hear any comment from Dr. Josh Green, Lieutenant Governor of Hawaii, about what's going on with Hawaii and Moderna. I've got some inside intel that there was a lot of Moderna given out in Hawaii in December and January of this year. Because that was the first one that became available. So a lot of caretakers, a lot of elderly. So we'd love to hear from Dr. Green what his stance on Moderna is. And if we flip forward, it's not only Iceland. We got Sweden, we got Denmark, we got Norway. They've halted all their Moderna vaccines for those ages 30 and younger. As you know, a lot of this is because of reactions with people's heart, such as myocarditis, pericarditis. So we're kind of waiting to see what goes on with this Moderna thing. I don't know. It's a new one that popped up recently.
Yep.
We know Green is financed by Pfizer, Mr. Pfizer himself, but we don't know what his specific allegiance to Moderna is. Flipping forward, we got the Rictator in the news again. Yep, that's what we call him. Mayor Dickie Blangiardi or Blangy or the Rictator, whatever you want to call him. So he's got his new discriminatory policy in place. He says we can gather with 1,000 people if everyone is vaccinated, and they must be masked outdoors. What do you think of this, Don? What do you think about the Rictator's new policy?
Maybe he has a big birthday party planned for next year. 1,000 people, who knows? But yeah, I think that's just terrible. And then when you saw another event that got me was a golf tournament on Maui.
Talking about the mayor's son?
Yeah, the mayor's son had a golf tournament with a huge, while no one was allowed to do anything on the island, and he's got performers coming. So I think these guys are just trying to protect their big corporate events where they're going to have, like musicians playing and all these big, I think they got some corporate events planned that they need to allow some people into, to make some money.
Possibly, so. But it does make you wonder, are they going to be checking the vax status of all their guests? So this, we're joking about this a little bit, but this is like the first real gauntlet of discrimination being thrown down. We have the restaurant thing, but, a lot of people just say, well, I'm not going to go to restaurants or I'm going to get takeout. But this is like, if you want to have a big event, let's say you want to have a concert, you want to have some kind of outdoor festival, health festival, let's say, you got to check everyone's vax status to get in there. So this is really that discrimination starting to kick in is what it looks like.
And there's obviously, what's stupid about this, there's so many fake vaccine cards out there. I mean, just a ton. Like, if you went to the strip club, for instance, all the strippers have fake vax cards. And you can probably buy a vax card there. So, I mean, I don't see the point. But, well, I just say the point is there's so much fake vax cards that, especially amongst young people, that it's so easy. You can give a digital copy of it. That it's a mockery. It's a total joke,
The point is total coercion, actually. Yeah. So that they're hoping we all just back down right away. As we kind of finish up the news segment here, did you track what was going on with Southwest Airlines yesterday?
I did see well, was it a weather delay I heard? Or, no, just kidding.
Allegedly a weather delay.
It's kind of like the virus. The weather delay only affected one random airline of all of them, but not the other ones. So, I don't know. Weird science happening since 2020. I can't explain.
So, over the weekend, Southwest canceled 1,800 flights, and it was basically, I guess it's referred to as a blue flu. So, they basically, it was a soft strike of sorts where, the workers stood in solidarity. I guess a lot of those airline pilots are ex-military, and they're kind of taking the stand for freedom right now. So
I'm glad Southwest did it because they're like a Texas-based company, and they've always gone against the grain. So I was just wondering when they would stand up to this, And too bad it took the pilots. But
I remember I heard from one person during the Mauna Kea movement, Southwest actually had airfares like a third the price of Hawaiian during that time. So they were supporting a lot of the locals during that time in our history. So even though Southwest isn't a local company, they do have a lot of allegiance to Hawaii, it seems. So
You're saying Hawaiian Airlines was taking advantage of the Hawaiian sovereignty movement with high fare. I believe you. I believe it. Yeah.
You know, there's correlation isn't necessarily causation, but it does leave you to a question after the fact, what exactly was going on there? So
I agree. It's messed up.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of it for our local news. Oh, I don't know if you saw today, they claimed, the Star Advertiser today said that there's been more flu deaths than COVID deaths since COVID hit the islands.
Which is that? I never trust the media, so is that their way of saying they're going to open up? I don't want to get hopeful, but
no, it's their way it's their way of saying we all need to get the flu vaccine because they're not getting quite as much COVID vaccine uptake as they want, so they're going to nail us with that graphene oxide or whatever else with this flu vaccine uptake now.
COVID vaccine's a couple of years. The flu vaccine, you'll pay for it forever. I think that's what every year. So it's a better one, better sale.
Pretty much. Well. Let's jump into the interview portion of our Freedom Podcast here. And can you give us a little bit of background of what is the Donor Shack? How did you get involved in the Donor Shack? What was your inspiration to open this business? Where'd you grow up? Just give us the rundown in
I'm born here. Less. I'm born and raised in Hawaii. I'm from Kauai. I'm local, and but basically, that was one of the reasons is you can't get all the foods in the world in Hawaii. So I was lucky in Donor Shack. The name Donor is a Turkish word. It means to spin. So basically, this was a Turkish food, kind of like a Greek gyro that's very popular in Europe. Germany, to be exact, was where it founded. So this thing was very popular, not available in the U.S. or Hawaii, and I tried it many times on vacation. A lot of the Americans liked it, and Japanese liked it. So I figure, you know what, probably work here. So that's what inspired me.
Now, was the Donor Shack in Honolulu, was that open before the one over in Waimea on the Big Island?
We were the very first.
So the first Donor on the islands. But yes. I've been to both, and they're both good. But I will tell you, Donor Shack in Honolulu, 4th Street Mall, the best in the islands.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that.
So kind of, how long have you been at that 4th Street Mall location?
Since 2015.
2015. Yeah. So you were, you're sitting there with your meat on the spit, enjoying life. How'd you get involved in all this freedom movement stuff? How did it kind of, how do we kind of get from, if we flip forward a couple of slides, how do we get to, can we go one more forward? How do we get from,
It started with the mask, basically. I was also probably the first business to put my foot down on this, but it wasn't intentional. As I was telling these guys earlier, I was just minding my own business and fighting the man one-on-one with the health department, basically. And anytime they'd come in, I'd give them the whole, your laws are stupid, they don't make any sense. Why can customers eat inside for an hour and a half at their table with no mask? They could come off a plane, yet the cooks in the high heat in the back, who aren't coming from different parties or anything, they're the same people every day, they got to wear masks. It was just, that was the original discrimination that I saw, and that one just pissed me off, and I would just give them hell every time they came in and make their job difficult. And they'd say, oh, we're giving you a warning, because they knew their laws were stupid. And I just throw it and say, I'm not, okay, who cares? Just end this already. And then eventually I pissed off one of them enough where she said, well, tomorrow I'm coming back to check. And I'm like, what are you going to check? She said, I want to check that your mask is up. I'm like, that's all you're going to check? I put my mask up and I reopened? It was already ridiculous. And she's like, yeah. And I said, well, bullshit. And the next day I came, and she saw me with my mask slightly down when the repair would be this. So she gave me a red placard, and I just ripped it. I physically ripped it off of the wall, which was, I'm glad our advertiser described it like that, because it made me a little bit heroic by ripping it off the wall. And then I placed it gently down on the table. But that one put me in the newspaper, so I was very surprised. And that was the day I met Joe, because he happened to call me that day saying, "Right on, man." So.
Yeah, I was inspired because I was just a frustrated swim coach. I couldn't run my operations. I was running at like 20% capacity of what I was used to doing. And I just wanted to see someone that took a stand. I'm like, where is everybody? Where's all the people that are pissed off about all this? And I see this in the newspaper, give Don a call on the phone, and next thing you know, I'm down there the next day trying his food, and we're planning the revolution at the Donner Shack.
Exactly, yeah. It became a hub, sort of an underground railroad for the Unvax'd is what Donner Shack has become. So, yeah, and Aloha Freedom Coalition helped me out. And as I said, I was just kind of doing it on my own. It was a personal decision, but then I joined the freedom movement via them, which basically just means it's a place where you have people that are like-minded, that'll back you up, that'll support your business. So that kept me fighting more and more.
Hey, so Don, can you tell us about the sign you have up in your restaurant now, specifically targeting vaccinated people?
Yeah, so after the mask and the hearing, everything was, just moving along slowly in Hawaii. We thought we were going to open up, and then the biggest, most unconstitutional curveball gets thrown at us in New York City and San Francisco, some of the worst managed places, basically not allowing unvaccinated people in the restaurant without having a test or something humiliating. Papers, show us your papers. So I put this guy out on, this was actually before the mandate even came out. I just knew it was coming. And at this point, I didn't even want people to be thinking about discriminating in my home state, especially, learning about this. So I put out this sign. In bold print, it says, the seating area is for unvaccinated only, which immediately frightens and shocks people, because they think I'm this discriminator. And then they're like, why are you letting the unvaccinated people in? They're very confused. 99% of people are confused. But the second part, I try and bring it together. But vaccinated persons are allowed, because I don't actually want to discriminate against people. That's wrong. Only if they acknowledge the full natural rights of their unvaccinated brothers and sisters. I'm trying to show love there. And have not subjected them to any forced mandates, testings, fees, inconveniences, or general prejudice within the last 72 hours. So that's kind of a joke with their stupid hour policy. But that kind of sums up everything that's happened. They are doing all those things. So.
Yeah, and that was by far your most popular Instagram post. I want to say I got up to like 13,000 likes or something, which is pretty remarkable for a small little restaurant in downtown Honolulu. In light of that, do you think that your stand has helped or hurt your business?
Well, other businesses will say I've hurt businesses overall. They're under this concept that if you comply very, very hard and obey very, very hard, all your rights will go back. So there's some people who think that I destroyed the restaurant, that I'm making them have to wait longer. That's not the case.
Who is that? Is that Greg, our buddy over at HRA?
Yeah, I think they're mad at me for extending this, but we know. But it did help business, actually, because there's so many like-minded people. I mean, so basically about their line, but about 50% of the population was on my side, and they had 0 restaurants to go to that believed in them or, took their stance. And now 50% of the population has 1 restaurant to go to. So not good for them. They only have 1 place, but good for me. I'm the 1 restaurant that they can go to. So it didn't hurt business, but that wasn't the intention at all. I thought it was gonna hurt business both times, but I guess there's the freedom movement is a lot stronger, and
there is a couple others. I would say you've probably taken the most bold voice out there, but there's a couple others. I don't know if they want to be mentioned, so I won't. But
yeah, that's the thing. I'm the only one that likes being mentioned.
Yeah,
that's I will say, and for all actually the one that really. One person topped me. It was Kalo Bombs, because they put "you don't need to wear a mask" in writing. I've yet to do that, but As we know, Joe, what's my mask policy? I'll let you say it right here. I mean,
if people want to wear masks, they can wear a mask. If they don't, they don't. I've never worn a mask inside Donner Shack.
Yeah.
Never will. I can promise you that. Funny thing about that is, so my buddy Tony Roman over at Basilicos in Huntington Beach, California, so he has a policy that you cannot wear a mask in his restaurant. In fact, a month ago, he tossed out a health inspector who tried to wear a mask during a standard health inspection. He actually got fined $1,000 for that. I think 2 patrons picked up the tab a couple days later. Would that work in Hawaii, being like super bold and saying, no, I'm not going to let you in my restaurant with a mask on? You think that would work out here?
Well, Peter Oshiro already threatened. He said, I'm calling your landlord, and I'm going to pressure your landlord. And my landlord's kind of mean, so I'm like, the landlord's going to side with you, Peter, so you win this battle.
Who's Peter Oshiro?
He's the health department. He's actually a fine guy. I'm not going to trash him. He really hates doing his job, but he's doing it. But they won't allow it unless you're on private land. You could keep doing it as long as you wanted. So maybe Tony must have some deal with his landlord to not be pressure, or he is the landlord, which would be.
No, he's definitely not the landlord. I just think he doesn't care. I don't. But why would a landlord toss a revenue-generating business out of there during a pandemic when that space is hard to fill?
That's a good bargaining chip. I should have thought of that one when I was talking to Peter there. But no, I don't know the extent to it. Right now, I know with these current ones, many places are not following. This is for the not allowing unvaxxed in. Many are not following. In fact, I got a ticket for it. I just wrote a bogus letter and turned it in, but I don't know what to say about it. I mean, I just...
What do you mean you got a ticket? Like, paint the scene for us. How'd that go down?
So day 3 of the Unvax'd. This one I have a voice recording of it. It was, and let me tell you the odd situations that are happening in my restaurant after this. But basically, the officer came by and said, "Hey, are you checking papers?" And I said, No. But you go ahead. You go check the papers. I said, you go, because they're afraid. They know it's unconstitutional. And he got all scared. He's like, and I said, well, if you're gonna prove that I have a unvaccinated people, go over there and go ask that person for their paper, Mr. Officer. And he's like, no. And then he's like, well, it's not papers, it's a vaccine thing. I said, it's medical information. He's like, it's not. I'm like, it's not medical information? You mean it didn't happen at a medical facility with medicine by medical professionals? And the cop was just like overwhelmed. He's like, all right. And then 2 other cops came and they gave me a ticket that basically said, it just said, mayor's order. Or no, sorry, it said governor's order, EO. It didn't have a law like an HRS, which was basically meant that it went through some legislation. So it just said governor order. So I wrote back in the letter, they weren't in there for 15 minutes, which is kind of a cop out. Like, but but what I want to tell them is, why are they asking me? I've been on Instagram saying that I'm letting unvaxxed people. I've been on the news saying I'm letting unvaxxed people in. I have 2 signs that say I'm letting unvaxxed people in. Stop asking me questions and pull out your fucking ticket book already. Like, but they don't want to. So he wrote it. So I just wrote, yeah, they weren't there for 15 minutes, because I realized that that's the loophole in the law. So I recommend this to all. This is what my one recommendation for all takeout places. Just say, everyone, to the best of my knowledge, that's the key term that a lawyer told me, has been in there for less than 15 minutes. That means you don't know for a fact. You're putting the onus on the officers, so they can like mark your shoe like they do to a car on Chinatown or something, but they're not going to do the checking. If they are out there then they're now the vaccine checkers. They're the state checking papers. They're trying to avoid that. They're trying to put it on me. So I tell them, so I have a sign up that says, you guys can sit here unvaxxed, but I got to warn you, there's patrolling officers. They might come and do the unconstitutional act of checking your papers. And that's the sign I have now. So a lot of signs, a lot of shit to keep up with. But
I got to tell you, this is a good plug. If you are a local restaurant owner or even business owner and you want no part in this medical discrimination, let's get you to group up with Don here. Let's Let's form an association of restaurants. I don't know what we're going to call it. We certainly don't need what's Greg Maple's organization called? Hawaii Restaurant Association.
HRA, or terrible.
Yeah, he's on the take and he's pushing this discrimination. So we need a brand new Hawaii Restaurant Association, whatever we're going to call it. Let's have Don spearhead this. You can call AFC if you want. We can make the connections. But let's not leave him out on this island. We know there's other restaurant owners that agree with Don here. So this is a plug. Yep. Get in touch with Don if you don't want to be asking for papers.
Contact me personally. Yeah, it's fine. Come on in and or call me or Instagram me. And come to AFC and get on their business directory. Can I say the weird things that are happening in my restaurant that just blow my mind? I don't know what to think.
Yeah, let's hear that.
So police officers will come in. They know that it's and they'll say to me, hey, Can we eat at the tables? I'm like, dude, you're an officer in uniform trying to break the law and asking me to break the law. Do whatever. I don't know what to tell you. That's really a question. I don't know what to say because I'm like, are you tricking me? No. Yes. I want to be cool. So that one's very confusing. Second is like all the news people come in. So the day after I got bashed by Hawaii News Now, Casey Lunn, the host, is in there sitting and eating lunch with one of the reporters.
He likes the food.
I'm like, what are you guys doing? You're bashing me and talking about the mandate. Although when I watched it again, he had a disgusted tone when he talks about the mandates. He's like, and then they're checking everyone's, he just thinks that's what I hope. But it's blowing my mind because I'm supposed to be the bad guy, but I'm getting supported by all these people that are on the other side. So it's so odd. But
what do you think, Don? Where is this all going in Hawaii? We have, I guess next week we have football. You can have up to 1,000 people in there. You got these gatherings of up to 1,000 people. What do you think happens? Do you think the mandates end? Do you think the people get fed up? What's your prediction?
At this point, I don't think the people are going to get fed up. They've just shown to be way too compliant. So, and these mandates are very negative. They're just going to keep killing businesses. It's one point I want to say is if your belief is to follow the mandates till they end, the businesses will end first. So I really don't know. That's a tough question. Yeah.
So are you saying that you cannot comply your way out of tyranny?
You cannot comply your way out of tyranny, and that's a great
message. Hear that,
message. Folks? Yeah.
You are not going to comply your way out of tyranny. Take off the mask.
Take off the mask.
Don't get jabbed every 6 months unless you want to. I want to see an ingredient list. I want someone to tell me what in that ingredient list of that jab is making us healthy. Like what health attributes do you have? Like for myself, I take zinc every day, quercetin, some other things. I could list some of those health benefits. I want a jab person to tell me what's the health benefits.
Yeah, tell me your secret ingredient that makes it work so well. I mean, it's like, which it doesn't,
Yeah, I mean, we could go off on that forever. I think Israel, they're on their 4th jab now, so you don't get the green pass unless you've taken the 2nd booster from the original series of 2, so the 4th jab overall.
Wow, you'd think Israel would know better, but I guess not.
No.
But, yeah, I don't know. I'm more afraid of, just our politicians in general are just so crazy. I'm afraid of Rick Blangiardi, what he's going to do next. And they're just terrible, who's coming in next. So Hawaii, we need to all get together in person often and enjoy each other's company and lives and just get back in the habit of enjoying people living normally in person, no mask. And then that could possibly end the mandates. We need to have big concerts. So we have some AFC events up. I don't want to get into them too fast, but I think that's kind of the start, the rallies, the in-person meetings, and then supporting the local businesses.
I will tell you that the purpose of the rallies and the marches isn't really to end all the mandates, although we chant no more mandates, because we're realistic. We don't think we're moving the needle on the political conversation. The reason we don't think we're moving the needle is, quite frankly, these guys are on the take. They're on the take from Pfizer. The schools are on the take from, I don't know how much Hawaii has received in federal money, but part of that federal money that they received is they need to put guidelines in place to put masks on kids. So, everybody's on the take. So we're really not trying to move to no more mandates. I mean, yes, perfect world, we'd get that, but we just don't think that's realistic. What we want is mass noncompliance. So when we have these big events, mostly people aren't wearing masks. We're gathering in groups of far more than 25 people or whatever their stupid rule was before. And we're having a good time, like you said. It's pre-2020 to us. We're playing music, we're dancing. We're having what would be considered normal, but it's not a sanctioned event apparently. So to kind of piggyback on what you said, come to an event. They're awesome. It's like 2019 except better, because everybody's all about realizing that we need to fight for our freedom.
I agree 100%. Yeah.
But that does kind of segue into what is our next event, and this is awesome. So Dr. Robert Malone, he is the inventor of the mRNA technology. I don't want to speak out of turn. Some people say he didn't invent the actual vaccine. No, he did not invent the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine. He invented the technology behind that. We have some musicians.
Wait, are we proud of him for doing that? I'm sorry, I didn't read it.
So
I didn't know that point.
So no, are we proud of him? No, we're not. But he is speaking out against these vaccines. I should have included that part right away. Yeah. So Malone is going to tell you why these mandates are no good, why these vaccines are no good. He's going to go fully in depth. We're going to have some other speakers. We're going to have Don Moriarty there from the Donner Shack. We're going to have BJ Penn. UFC fame. BJ Penn's been very outspoken lately. What do you think of that, Don? Some of BJ Penn's recent messages.
I wouldn't mess with him, man. I think he can push that through, bully it through if he needs to. And
as he says, the rules.
Can you really look BJ Penn in the eye and deny one of his requests? It's pretty hard to do. I mean,
so we got BJ Penn speaking. We got some musicians. We got Sons of Yeshua coming in. We have Jimmy Levi. He was on. I don't watch TV, but he was on one of those shows.
Sounds familiar.
Jimmy, if you're watching this, I apologize. I've never watched America's Got Talent or whatever these other. They're awesome shows though, and you did an awesome job. And we also have Kaimi Music coming in, and we have some other speakers as well, but those are kind of our headliners. So that is going to be Sunday, October 7th, 4 to 7 p.m. And some of these folks are going to be on our podcast. So we're going to have Dr. Malone in studio here. We're also going to have BJ Penn in studio, and Jimmy Levi is coming in. So brand new podcast, and we got 3 huge names coming in. They're not going to top your performance, Don.
Good luck following me, guys. I mean, I came in hot on the first podcast. You should see the first one. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we do it all in one take here. We don't need to. We're just one take. What we got is what we got.
We got it. We just do it.
But yeah, you guys, we've joked around a lot, but Don really is a resource for taking it to the man. When it comes to the point where we have to stop paying taxes, Don's going to be your first guy to do that.
Not yet. Yes.
I'm just thinking about the escalation, but no. Yep. Don pays his taxes. I'm kidding.
He's right. No, but as you can see, I'll talk to you if you have any questions about it, or you just want to hooey up. Let's do it. Like, I'm perfectly friendly person, and I understand what it's like. So come talk to me.
Yeah, but yeah, seriously, thanks for coming on. Thanks to Coconut for joining us this round, and that's it. Freedom Podcast episode 2.